Uh, okay. But I feel that because of the makeup of the committee, it really wasn't sort of fair, and it wasn't looking at all sides. I think decisions and ideas about what needs to be done were kind of decided early on, and the committee then made the facts kind of fit their agenda. That's my view. Okay. So thank you, and I hope you do follow the mandate of the voters.
Susan Lovely.
Do I need that, or can I just speak loudly?
Can I hear you, Zoom?
All right. Hi, good evening. Susan Love Green at 379 North Bigelow Road. I'll keep my comments brief. First thing I wanted to say is I want to reiterate what Ed had said, to remind you that the vote of the referendum was 258 no's to 154 yeses. And I think that that speaks volumes, and I'm hoping that you listen to what the townspeople had to say. The second thing I want to say is that the study that was presented is a financial study. Remind you that your responsibilities are to bring in a good budget, but to also educate the students of this town, children of this town. And in that financial study, there was no educational study, no impact to education. You have no idea what that would undertake, and that would be a huge overtaking for you to make that decision to merge two schools. There are many things to consider. When it comes to the budget, I'm not an expert in budgets. I have my own budget at my own school that I'm responsible for. I've negotiated contracts, and both as a board member and a union member. I'm an executive board member of my union. I'm the treasurer of my union. The one thing I do know is teacher salaries and negotiating teachers' contract. And the one line item that I feel comfortable talking about is the teachers' salaries. I think that that number was underestimated by a considerable sum. I also think that you need to consider that if you merge two teaching unions together, you have a contract that you need to negotiate. And I think that the teachers would have a tremendous amount of leverage in the fact that you would be changing their working conditions, increasing their class sizes. There's no common planning time. In the budget, I didn't see any line items for enhancement of curriculum, extracurriculars, after school, enrichment opportunities, and there was one person for SRBI for an entire school of, I'm not even sure how many. Those all said red flags to me, and that is one line item out of the, I think it was 58, or honestly, I don't remember how many line items were in the budget. And that's just one, and that's an important one. Oh, I'm all set. All right, thank you for your time. All right.
That's the end of our list. Was there anyone else who wanted to speak? Oh, I'm sorry. Linda, I forgot. Okay.
Hi, Linda Fazica, 162 Cedar Swamp Road. There is an article from WINY Radio Newsroom in which Alan Cahill said something. He said that let's see, he believes something needs to be done in the somewhat near future to address Hampton Elementary School's shrinking enrollment and the problems that come along with that. My issue with this statement is that his solution, and the solution that's been proposed, is to shrink it even further, which doesn't make sense to me. It's completely opposite of what we want. If anything, I think we need to be putting our resources back into the school, bolstering our school, endorsing our school district, making people want to move here. No young family is going to move into a dying community with an aging population that has no school. That's just the fact. So if everyone wants to see Hampton just die into, oblivion, then you'd be voting the right way by voting to merge schools and get rid of our school districts. It's just not the right call. Our kids deserve to be schooled where they live, at home. It's been done for many, many years. There's no reason why it can't continue to be done. It's just a lack of support from the community. And I don't really understand where this lack of support comes from. And I would like to give credit to our teachers that I see several here. Ms. Stone and everyone else that have worked tirelessly to school our children. And they deserve that. You know, just because we're a small school district doesn't mean that we're not a school district. Doesn't mean that we need to bus our children out. You know, both of my kids went through Hampton Elementary School all the way up through Parish Hill. And even then, the bus ride was close to an hour. And we live over on Cedar Swamp Road. That's right there. It was close to an hour just to get here. So can you imagine what a bus ride would be to go to Chaplin or anywhere else? It's just, it's out of control. I can't even fathom why anybody gets here. Okay, right.
Yes. Did you pronounce your last name?
Basically.
I've been saying it wrong.
It's okay.
Elizabeth, you wanted to speak? No, once. Anyone else want to speak?
Hold on, can you see if anyone's on Zoom? Guys?
Oh, please do. Does anyone on Zoom, would anyone on Zoom like to speak? Do you see everyone? We just see. the people.
Nobody's raised their hand.
Okay. Okay, so I have 3 letters. So I'm going to ask someone else to time. I can't read in
I'll
time.
time for you.
Thank you. Okay, the first one's from Kathleen Carpenter. While I appreciate the work that the ad hoc committee members must have put into this, I am very strongly opposed to the current cooperative school proposal and wish the Hampton Board of Education to reject the proposal for the good of our students and the long-term benefit of our town. A town without a school loses an important part of its identity and cohesiveness. If we lose our Hampton school, this would not be a family-friendly town. Property values would certainly drop. Children going from Hampton to Scotland School would become the outsiders in the school. Projected class sizes for the cooperative school are too large and would be a huge step backward. Nothing I heard while watching the committee meet online promises cost reduction, especially for Hampton taxpayers. Assuming, as everyone is, that Scotland would host the new school, Hampton would be left with the expense of a building to maintain, on top of paying to send Hampton students to Scotland. Transportation costs would be higher for Hampton. Population is cyclical. Many of us remember when Scotland Elementary School's population dropped, faculty laid off, and classes combined, i.e. grades 1 and 2, 2 and 3, etc. A few years later, when the population rebounded, the school required an addition, then another and another. At some point, as the elderly in Hampton leave our large homes, young families will consider moving in if we have a school. We should not abandon our Hampton Elementary School to enter an arrangement that is bad for students, bad for the town's future, and likely will save no money, but could end up costing a lot more money. The next letter is from Kathleen Carpenter. I'd like this message to reach our Hampton Board of Education. While I appreciate the work that the ad hoc.
Was really both from Kathleen Carpenter?
Yeah, I'm sorry. The next one is from Sophie Gilbert, to whom it may concern. I am sorry to have missed the informational meeting at Hampton Elementary last week, and in lieu of that, I am writing to express my concern over the proposed consolidation. My partner and I moved to Hampton just a couple of months after our first daughter was born in the summer of 2019. We were coming from California and knew very little about the town or even the region we were moving to. I won't go into the details that drew us to our particular property, because my hope is to draw your attention to the more general attractiveness of the town of Hampton to young families moving long distances. I hope that we, as a town, are considering this because, as COVID-19 illustrated so clearly, as our world changes and becomes more volatile, populations will shift, and Connecticut is poised to be an attractive destination for people, particularly in light of the climate chaos disrupting in the western and southern regions of our country so violently. So back to Hampton. The first time I drove down Main Street was a gray late winter day, but it won me over immediately. The houses were stately and charming at the same time. The previous iteration of the general store was still open, and there was a young man playing accordion in suspenders and a bow tie in front of his house. In my memory, leaves were falling because it was just so quintessentially New England, so central casting Connecticut. We were delighted to see the beautiful and new Hampton Elementary School building, and as I began to research it, I was particularly drawn to the small class sizes and felt excited at the possibility of being involved in a really meaningful way in my daughter's education. I got the impression that Hampton was idyllic, that I had been transported back in time 70 years or so, but in the best way, and that this was a place where everybody could march to the beat of their own drum while still being embraced by the community. We weighed the pros and cons and decided to move out here, far from cities and families and friends. Okay, thank you. And the other one's on my phone. This letter was read at the last meeting, and I sent it to the Board of Ed members from Danielle McIver, but she would like it read again, so she's going to give her 2 minutes. Okay, ready? Dear Hampton Elementary School Board of Education, I'm writing to you regarding your consideration for combining Hampton and Scotland elementary schools. I have read through the final ad hoc committee report that was published on Hampton Town website and feel the following issues haven't been considered in the sales pitch being delivered to you. I don't know if you will have answers to these questions, but if you don't, I hope that you will vote no until the ad hoc committee can ensure these concerns are addressed. 1, has the town of Hampton hired an independent assessor to determine how closing Hampton Elementary will impact property values for Hampton residents? The reason why I am asking is that Hampton will be the only town in the state without its own elementary school. This will more than likely reduce our property values. Reduced property values will result in less taxes the town brings in at the current mill rate. Will the savings, the ad hoc committee's report, still exceed the reduced tax income, or will Hampton have to increase their mill rate to compensate for it? 2, it's my understanding that the ad hoc committee used average salaries to calculate their savings. However, teaching positions at the cooperative school would be offered in the order of seniority. In theory, salary increases with seniority, so why did they use the average when they most likely will have to hire the teachers with the highest salaries? Additionally, how do you expect the teachers to accept the same salary when you are forcing them to double their class sizes? It's not like this is organic growth within the town. At 3, have you had discussions with the Scotland Fire Department and Connecticut State Police regarding the safety of our children? Are either of them staffed to accommodate evacuating 180 or more students in the event of an emergency? Most of the larger schools around us have their own police force. Killingly, Plainfield, Putnam as examples. Will the school, I'm sorry, I read as fast as I could. Those are all the letters. So last call, is there anyone else who would like to speak? Okay, thank you. So we will move on. On to discussion and action on the recommendations of the ad hoc committee on interdistrict educational cost savings. Do we want to have a motion before the discussion? Okay,
I'll move that we do not join a cooperative agreement with Scotland as recommended by the ad hoc committee for interdistrict educational cost savings.
so A yes vote would mean no to the cooperative school. Okay. We have a second? Oh, thank you, Ann, but Diane seconded it. Okay, does anyone have anything they want to say? On?
One, that's what I'm-
No, I will be louder.
Okay.
Thank you. My Republican colleague and one Democrat and I announced early on that we would respect the vote of the people. And we will abide by it. I cannot say the same for the Democratic colleagues who sit here and might not have respected the vote of the people. Thank you.
Does anyone else have anything they'd like to say?
Rose,
Yes.
I just want to say that I've been on the fence with this thing since day one, and I've been to both hearings in Scotland and Hampton, and as a board member, the outcome of the vote for the referendum pretty much cinched the deal for me. I'm gonna go with the voters' wishes.
I get all that. Any further discussion?
Yeah, I'm
Mary Ellen?
address it. I'm one of the people that have a Chief Captain School open sign out very early. And we have not discussed it as a board. So I want to take this opportunity to tell you that part of the responsibility of boards is to know the laws. And the cooperative agreement law, which was used as a basis of this proposal, has been on the books a long time and it's been discussed in our communities a long time. And as we all know by this time, you can break a cooperative agreement with 1 year's notice. And I do not believe that it would provide stability for our students and their families. And part of our responsibility is to provide a good educational program for our students. And I early on was against using a cooperative agreement to merge schools.
Any further discussion? So I will be voting this issue. I said, one of the reasons I vote is when there's an issue that is a really hot topic and I think people deserve to know how the chair votes. So I will also be voting. Would it be all right with everyone if we do a roll call? Yeah, I'll just start getting it down the table. Mary Ellen?
Yes.
What?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Thank you. Ann?
Could you repeat the motion, please?
The motion was that we do not join a cooperative agreement with Scotland as recommended by the ad hoc committee on interdistrict educational cost savings.
So Ann, it's your turn to vote. Mark?
Yes.
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 Russ?
Russ.
Russ?
Yes.
I'm taking long to write. And I vote yes. The motion carries unanimously. Well, for coming to our meeting, he was very supportive. We certainly don't expect you to sit through 2 more hours of meeting if you'd like to.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for your help. Good work. Okay, and we'll move on to approval of the minutes from 9/28/22 and 10/6/22. Motion. Diane moved to accept the minutes. Do we have a second?
Second.
I'm sorry. We're doing the minutes. We're doing the minutes of 9/28/22 and 10/6/22. And Diane made a motion to approve the minutes. Do we have a second?
Second,
Wow, everyone second.
wanna move on.
I didn't like that 2 hour.
See, we can beat that time, yeah.
Give him to the room. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, to raise your hand.
Oh, Russian.
Well, you didn't hear that one. Ann said yes.
And
What about the
Russ, did you hear that?
I said, yeah. Oh,
oh,
We're good.
vote no?
No.
Yeah, what did I add? I'm adding to go down. Mark, you did not vote.
Not yet.
And voted. Matthew,
yes.
David, did you already vote yes on that?
Yes.
Diane, yes. And we have a no. And Mark,
I'm gonna abstain.
abstain. Okay, the motion carries, 6 yes, 1 no, 1 abstention. On to the superintendent's report.
Guys are staying around?
Yeah, we are.
Okay, very good. All right, so we held our first board retreat on October 6th. And we had almost a full board present with us, and we led a very fruitful discussion on our vision. So as an overview, for those of you who could not be there, we engaged in discussion on the first stages of a vision, which is called our why. We took the time to watch a quick TED Talk on how important the why is to an organization and how the why is what drives organizations to success. This led to our large group activity where we normed on what a vision and a mission statement are using the graphic of a rocket ship and a moon like you see here. We then reviewed our current mission and sorted responses of 17 different stakeholders in our community who answered the questions, what is our district priority and where are we in achieving it? Our activity was able to shed light at the various stages for us, starting with the need for common language and priority to ensure a clear vision for our students. And our night wrapped up with the group being able to put every response into one of the 5 named categories, which you can see the clip right there. We titled them climate, instruction and learning, school community, board solutions, and then an unsure category. So this is the first step of us engaging in our new vision, and we're going to continue to work on it throughout the year with all stakeholders to arrive at a vision that will propel our students forward. So I'm going to move into a presentation on social emotional learning. And this was Laura Sorrell collaborated with me in this presentation, who's our school counselor here. And I believe she's online. So if you have questions, she's available too. And I've got the transcript for this, so I'm just going to read off of our transcript here for folks, okay? So the collaborative and academic social and emotional learning, known as CASEL, defines SEL as the process through which all young people and adults acquire and apply the knowledge, skills, and attitudes to develop healthy identities, manage emotions, and achieve personal and collective goals, feel and show empathy for others, establish and maintain supportive relationships, and make responsible and caring decisions. This framework is used to ensure we are meeting the social emotional needs of all our students, which is our why. We know that students whose emotional needs aren't met are not able to access learning, which is the goal of education. Additionally, all adults are leading by example to show our students what it means to recognize emotions and work through them. We are students' mirror into being able to identify how they feel and best ways to cope, manage, collaborate, and make responsible and caring decisions. So to break down what social emotional learning means for our Hampton Elementary School students, our students are learning how to interact with peers and adults, how to define or identify the emotions they experience, how to manage or regulate their emotions, how to think and show empathy for others, and how to work cooperatively with one another when a problem arises to find solutions. Each year, students engage in 5 large topics throughout the school year that are scaffolded based on their age. This year, the 5 topics are diversity and inclusion, empathy and critical thinking, communication, problem solving, and peer relationships. To provide an example, the unit on diversity and inclusion just ended. So students in kindergarten learned how they wanted to be treated as well as their peers. By learning this, they were able to see how each person is unique and learned a new way on how to include them in their play or group work. They developed a class goal and are provided weekly activities to learn and practice their new skills of including others. The evidence of the benefits of social emotional learning is echoed across multiple studies and independent meta-analysis. We know from a large body of research on social emotional learning that high quality SEL programming leads to improved academic performance, decreases in anxiety and behavior issues, among other benefits. We also know from research beyond the traditional SEL field that there are additional insights to be gained that are relevant to SEL. A meta-analysis published in 2011 synthesized the findings from studies of 213 school-based universal SEL programs, including outcomes data from more than 270,000 students from kindergarten through high school. 2 major findings stood out. Compared to controlled students, students participating in SEL programs showed significantly more positive outcomes with respect to enhanced SEL skills, attitudes, positive social behavior, and academic performance, and significantly lower levels of conduct problems and emotional distress. The higher academic performance of SEL program participants translated into an 11 percentile point gain in achievement, suggesting that social emotional learning programs tend to bolster rather than detract from students' academic success. So with that, are there any questions? Any questions?
So the social emotional learning program doesn't do counseling,
It does not. Does not do counseling.
and it's all group work, right?
Correct. Whole class.
Whole class.
And whole school. Correct. Thank you.
Just duration wise, this is sounds like something that would be great to kind of not focus on, well, maybe focus on, but utilize, discuss all year long,
Yes.
or like for year going forward. Is that kind of the plan, or is it like a autumn thing, or is it like all the time?
Good question. So those 5 categories that I talked about that they're scaffolded, they're throughout the whole school year. So they break them off so it's bite-sizable so our kids can understand. And Sam shared a report about learning targets. So we make them so they're student friendly and kids can use them immediately. And then they build upon them throughout the year. So not just only done in the fall.
It's embedded in everything.
Yeah.
The life skills.
Correct.
Kids put early on and get that ingrained.
Right, to be able to cooperate.
Part of their life, not just a
Right.
month-long thing.
Correct. Yeah.
And also with data, this is something that's recognized internationally and nationally as an important initiative.
Yes. Yes, it is.
Sorry.
All right. So I don't think there's any other questions. Russ, did you have any? I don't want to forget you on there.
No, I'm all set. Thank you.
Okay, great. Now I'm gonna move into the PA system update. And I was on the phone with the company today. They're gonna give me a better update on delivery tomorrow. But our product has been ordered, and once it arrives, it will take about a week of install. We're getting close.
So what happens if, say, a speaker that's already in place doesn't work,
It will get replaced.
and it will cost $12,000?
No. No, there's, I don't want to misquote, but it's a 1,000 and
Just 1,200.
I think it's 1,200. Yeah.
1,200.
Yeah,
For a speaker. if you have
for a
it.
speaker, if we have to replace one.
And how many speakers do you have to have?
Not off the top of my head.
Okay. We need more speakers, though, right? Is it needs to be a speaker into the bathroom? So,
They're sending their technician out to preview them for us.
I would imagine that the speakers and the ones outside are already part of the proposal because those were known that we wanted to add.
So the outside ones were, they were unsure about the hallway situation. So we'll have a better, when they send their technicians out.
Just get the ones you need to add where you need them.
We'll do.
Get feedback from the staff. Hopefully, so
So,
you're happy with it.
so how is this fit into the quote they gave us? Did they give us a quote with no new speakers or?
They gave us a quote for existing speakers and the outside, the addition of the outside ones. And then the additional 1,200 was at the bottom if anything needed to be repaired or if we're gonna add it.
So that would mean we need to go back to the Board of Finance and request more funds. You know, the budget was 49,000.
And I don't think that we will use the Saturday that they quoted us for based off of our communications and with the staff in terms of what we believe. We don't believe it's going to be disruptive to the learning day, so we don't believe we will need a Saturday.
Now, this system is standalone, it's not dependent on internet.
Correct. Hardwired. That's correct.
Where could you speak into it?
Main office. Main office. But like the current system, you can just the main office.
Just the main office.
They're gonna have their IT guy train a couple of people when they set it up.
They will train us. Yeah. Yes, they will.
It's all part of the package.
Yes.
This is included.
Go ahead, Nan.
Yeah, I hesitate to ask because it could show just how naive I am about technology, but I was wondering if there's any possibility of, or anything worth inquiring about, like an infrared camera. And getting a visual as well as a speaker. And if it's extremely expensive, that would be ruled out, but I'm just wondering if that's something that's been discussed too.
I'm beginning to get a little concerned because when we go into specifics about our security system, we should be in executive session and we're not.
Agreed.
Totally agree.
Thank you, Rose. Good point.
It's okay. Is it all right if I move on?
I'm ready to move on to principal's report.
Almost. Sorry, got one more.
Oh, okay.
I just wanted to share with you collaborative efforts that currently that I participate in, but also our principals of the regional level principals of also Scotland, Hampton, as well as Chaplin. So I have been engaging in collaborative works with my superintendent colleagues. But when we were meeting, we were discussing really a better alignment of what our students are learning, our resources, our curricula, things like our intervention tools, to make those tighter and more aligned. So when our students are going into Parish Hills, they're all coming from a similar baseline of knowledge and also able to help one another moving forward. So recently, the principals met and it was fun because I got to cover the building for a little while while Sam had to go up and learn. And they had lunch together. But from what Sam has shared back with me and what I've learned is there's a lot more on the table in terms of collaboration and alignment than maybe initially anticipated, if that's a fair statement for me to say here, as well as just creating our own resources amongst the groups. So I just want you to be aware that those collaborations are happening because it's through those collaborations that we get to think outside the box and sometimes think of things that we wouldn't normally think of. And what you probably saw in Sam's report, and she's going to speak to learning targets a little bit. But our next door neighbors are engaging in similar strategies and visible learning and what they're to learn what struggles they go through or how to better our own students is something that is really, you can't put a price on. So this collaboration has been rejuvenating. There we go. Good.
Just to be clear, this is Chaplain in Scotland
Correct.
and Hampton.
Yes,
It's good.
it is.
No parachute.
No, not yet, not yet. So just looking at it through an elementary scope
Elementary school.
of where we're, yeah. Okay. So now we can move into,
Can I make a comment?
oh, sorry, yes.
Years ago. That's what I was thinking. Yeah, for people who've been here a long time, there was an effort, we had one superintendent here for districts. We had councils where a subject was looked at from pre-K. We had curriculum meetings where we went preschool through grade 12 in the subject area. And they met with teachers involved in it multiple times in a year.
We did a lot of our PD together and shared that cost.
Yeah,
But our curriculum was a spiral, we really worked on it being, a spiral through. And that's something that we can actually do is not only working at the elementary level, but the people in the high school telling them, or middle school and high school telling us what they're seeing, what they're needing their kids to know.
good to carry on.
Can you hear me? Usually, oh, it's because of the Zoom. Hi. Once again, another fast month buzzed by. Students doing a lot of activities and having fun. One of our underlying school goals is to increase family engagement and have events and activities where families are more involved. We're looking at that as a group. We're encouraging that, and anything we have and that we feel that families should be invited to, we've been inviting them. We've had families come out and help with the bales of hay, and community members try to get that going. It's sort of a slow process, but if you can't tell, there's a frog, a scarecrow, a pumpkin, a pig, and a ghost who suddenly has grown spiders. And that's, parents have helped with that. The younger kids went on to Pumpkin Patch and families came there. Fire prevention, just by the nature of the event, a lot of families were involved in that activity too. We're doing a little Halloween parade, and we invited parents to that. So we're trying to get the parents back into the building and back helping and supporting us. I have 2 new PTO members, and I jokingly say that it takes 2 to replace the 1 that we had last year. And they're learning the ropes, so that's there's a lot of conversations going on with that. Teachers are doing some professional development, not just on learning targets, but that does feel like an overarching scope that we're focusing on. And it's a tweaking of what is already happening with good instruction, and that teachers do make sure that students know what their objectives are and what their goals are for each lesson, each day, and as they build on new learning. learning targets, just switch that a little bit and put that ownership to the student. And it gives them the words so that they can own that learning, that, and instead of having a teacher say, today I'm going to teach you, students are now saying, today I can learn. And the teachers are sort of, like really pushing it out there, and so that kids get comfortable with that terminology and owning that. And I'm seeing it everywhere. So even on the bus, it's, I can pay attention, I can be safe, I can support my peers, I can be respectful to others, I can make good choices. So that's becoming more ingrained, and as it becomes like second nature, we'll move on to the next level of that. We're doing PD every other staff meeting, and we're all reading Leaders of Their Own Learning. And but right now, that's what the focus is, learning targets, and I will keep you updated as we move forward.
Yeah.
Oh.
Business coordinators report.
Good evening. I sent out quarterly reports. Anyone has questions?
They always look good this time of year. On a positive note.
To media liaison reports. Communications.
We did not. We've been playing with dates. We're trying to get some dates together. We're hoping to meet yet. Well, first date was yesterday. Didn't happen. So.
Okay. Finance and operations.
Yes, Mark Becker. We met last Thursday. We went over the PA system, kind of where we were at for that, as well as Mary Ellen and Dave have been working on further investigations for a heating system, cooling system via mini splits. So we've had multiple companies kind of come in and look at the building, and they're working on proposals now. And we are going to have a presentation ideally on the 10th of November with one, maybe two of the companies. So people that want to are more than encouraged and welcome to join that meeting to listen in on their proposals. And then we will hopefully be able to make a recommendation in the near term to move that forward. I think it's a worthwhile endeavor due to the rising cost of fuel oil.
Playground.
Oh.
These are approved.
Yeah. Done.
I mean, done, they're using.
Yes. Anyway,
Can we try to post that meeting?
early,
Yeah,
we get up.
yeah.
Wow, I read between the lines on that one, David. All right, I'll see if I can do
I
that.
know, it's- I'm not blaming anybody.
No, I'm joking. Not,
Just so
yes,
the
I
word
can.
can get out
We know what
in
the
the
agenda
public
needs to be, so I can.
Board
I
of
can send that
Finance too, maybe. I don't see her. Is she still with us? Kathy Donahue?
I don't think so, no. No, just rest.
I want to make sure she gets the word.
Oh, Alan's still there.
Alan. He's there, but he's not there.
Oh, there's a couple, there's still a couple.
There's the gym.
No,
You can see the setup.
We did set that up.
Yeah, I like
We have a couple, we
I
got
like the IT. It's getting better every time.
Yeah, this is much.
This is better, you know?
Yeah, we still, we have, Linda's in here, Laura's in here. Chronicles in here. Karen is in here.
Okay, we'll move on to policies meeting.
Did policies meet?
As I indicated at the last meeting, I resigned as chair of the committee and staying involved with the committee. And we've been gathering information about who's available when. So we've informally gathered that information and we anticipate having a meeting before.
And if I can add, I think we've had emails come back and forth trying to find dates for meetings as well.
Sorry, I can't hear.
Yeah, Matt just said that we've been going back and forth for dates.
Existing materials.
Yes.
And I've been in touch with the personnel to gather more information about evaluation materials.
That's the next committee.
Okay, so sorry.
It's actually,
We can just move right into that.
no, I don't, because it's actually 3 committees right now. So I want to go to the ad hoc job description subcommittee with the executive assistant. So we met this afternoon and realized that there's a section in it we're not sure of, and we need to get advice from the lawyer. So we're not ready to present tonight. We're hoping we would be. We'll try for November. If not November, December, because November comes up fast this year. And the ad hoc minority recruitment and retention subcommittee did not meet this month. Now we're on the ad hoc superintendent's evaluation subcommittee. Now, when Sally sent out the agenda, she sent out a copy of the CAVE evaluation. And I'm wondering if people looked at it. Okay, so what we found out by looking at this is the superintendent's evaluation is tied very closely to the board's evaluation. So we're getting a good start on the board's evaluations with the workshops, the retreats. And at the same time, we need to do something for the superintendent. So the Jane suggested a timeline, which we're not going to make this year because we started late and we often don't make. So that's just what happens. So we that is the evaluation that we're looking at. So if you all would be able to discuss it at the next meeting, that would be it. Okay.
We're gonna have a workshop.
Yeah, so
It's kind of like the first.
I think November 15th works for almost everyone. I know a few it doesn't. So if we're gonna try and find the perfect date, we could try and go to December, but
Do we need to complete our evaluation before? No.
No, this committee is really talking about the process of how we'll evaluate the superintendent. We're not doing the evaluation.
Right, but do we need to complete the board's evaluation before we start looking at this?
I don't think so.
We do it together.
Yeah, I think if you're familiar with what is on the,
Yeah. Okay.
things.
So at our retreat, are we going to deal with our own evaluation at all? Or are we going to continue with our mission?
I think they coincide. So we'd like to look at it together.
Okay, now we're on to CAVE.
Okay. I believe Patrice McCarthy, the executive director, was scheduled to do a radio show, and I thought it was today, but she's working with the Connecticut Conference of Municipalities and talking talking about local boards of ed and just as a heads up, if anybody's available, when it does show, I could hear it too. Excuse me, I'm losing my voice. But it's an interesting initiative that could be very relevant to Hampton and other small districts. I probably shouldn't talk too much. But if anybody has any questions, let me know. They're getting ready for the conference, which is mid-November in Groton Mystic area. And they continue to offer professional development activities. And I'm pleased that some of you have participated in those professional development opportunities.
So I have a question for board members. Do you all get the notifications from Kate?
Yes,
Yeah, there's a lot.
there's a lot.
Yeah.
Sometimes I read it, sometimes I
Yeah.
leave it in there for later.
Oh, that's a good point. Don't ever delete,
No, I have,
don't delete from your school email. And this is a whole separate thing. Because it could be FOI.
yeah, okay.
Yeah. You can put it in categories if you want, but we just can't delete them. So Kate is looking for delegates for their Kate assembly. And it would mean going to Mystic. It would mean being in a crowded room, so I'm kind of out of it. But if anyone would like to go, I did do that once with Mary Ellen, I think.
Yeah, Ann's always good.
What about,
The delegate assembly. You've always been the person.
I've done them, I'm not sure I'd be the best person to go and represent. I mean, I'd be, if you really wanted me to do it, I'm sure I could manage to do it, but I think it would be a good opportunity for somebody else to step up if anybody's available, and I'd be glad to, answer questions for an individual who's going, who would consider stepping up. I think it's a wonderful process, or maybe a different word would be, it's a very important process to participate.
I know I did it once. And it is fun to go talk about, it talks about what are the legislative goals going to be for KU. It's kind of neat to be in that discussion. But if,
Yeah, and there's also someone from Woodstock who has been in the past participating, and he was gone for a while and he's back now. This is Jay. I believe his name is Jay. Susan, you might, I don't know if she's still there. Okay, but I would strongly encourage somebody else to also go if you're available.
so if you're interested in going, let me know. I'll give you the paperwork.
I'm sorry.
I said, if there's anyone who's interested in going, they should let me know and I'll give them the paperwork.
Great, thank you.
Okay, on to Eastern.
Yeah, we have Zoom meetings every 2 weeks about finances at EastCon. So we did have that meeting, but our retreat on Saturday and our meeting last night was canceled due to COVID. We're canceled.
That's good. Excuse me. Okay, on to additions to the agenda. I have one thing I'd like to add, a discussion about the process for finding a new board member. Russ's resignation is in place for November 1st. So that means we have all of November. We have to have someone by December 1st. So I thought we could kind of sketch out what we want for a process. So I was thinking,
We want to add this to the first motion for that.
Is there anything else anyone wants to add?
I'm not sure if you're ready for it, but do we want to have a charge for another ad hoc committee to further the job? Not ready.
I'm not prepared.
Okay.
Anything else?
Is Russ still doing that?
Well, right now, there's a letter signed by Russ saying he's resigning as of November 1st.
Yeah. Are we asking if he's still doing that?
Well, I think if Russ had anything to volunteer, he would. And I don't hear any volunteer. Yeah, he's there.
Is there?
He doesn't have to say anything if he doesn't want to.
Gotcha.
Okay, so if there's nothing else to add. I need a motion.
Before you do that, well, yes.
You want to add something to the agenda?
No.
No,
not
so
to
this
the
isn't the time.
You have a couple questions.
Well, I'll move that we add the discussion for filling the board vacancy.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Okay.
Could you say that again, please?
I move that we add the discussion of the filling the board vacancy to the agenda.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Maybe it's unanimous. Oh, Russ, I'm sorry, are you in favor, Russ? I did. Okay.
I wave my hand up like that. Can you see
No,
it?
but you know what? You know your hand isn't in the screen. You put the other one up. There you go. That one I saw. Thank you. Okay, so we have the 2/3 because we were unanimous. So I was thinking we need to get the word out that there's a vacancy and that I'd like to ask that we put on the town website, the school website, and
This month's Gazette.
when does that come out?
First week of November, right?
Yeah. I'll find out if it's on to Wednesday.
Do you send a newsletter? Either one of you send a newsletter home to parents?
Yeah, you said not last.
It's like a message board.
And is it lots of stuff on there or just one thing on there?
It depends on, I write long letters, I write one. So
Be nice to get a young parent.
I can send out a
Also, that's
blast.
all
We could send it as a standalone. She could send it as a standalone.
we go.
I was thinking the opposite.
Say there's no weekly newsletter, but it's just whatever.
No, well, the newsletters go home, like each teacher will send a newsletter home weekly. I might send a blast out once a day, depending on what's going on in the school.
Alan's here too. You can put it on the Hampton town website for selectmen. For board member.
Both are channels. We won't sandbag them out of.
Not listening, let's just check and see who's listening.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Thanks, Alan.
But it's important to know that we have to have the right delegation.
Yes, we need a non-Democrat. So that would have to be part of our notice. Minority representation. Okay. And then our November board meeting is early. So I was wondering if we would like to have a special board meeting on either November 28th, 29th, or 30th to and just interview candidates and then appoint someone. Or if you'd rather try to do it really fast and interview and choose someone at the November 16th meeting. That feels kind of rushed.
I think it should
I
be a
go to the
separate
end of the
meeting.
month.
Separate meeting. So if you have it in a month,
Is that agreeable to others to have a special
Or
meeting?
whenever you want to do it. Want to post it.
Mark's not comfortable?
My only uncomfort is that on the 16th, for some reason, the application didn't work, we'd still be out of a person. But we had a little bit of time to recover. If the 29th, 30th, I guess there's no risk that we wouldn't be able to come out of that meeting with a person. So if there's no risk on that, then I guess I'm all right. If it's the 29th, 30th, that's it. Like, for some reason, something goes awry, then the first, then it's the 24th. So that's my, maybe there's no risk there. I guess that's my.
Don't you think if we were working on selecting a candidate and it went past the 30th, the selectmen would brace us and let us go forward to select a person?
Maybe they're right to do that. Yes, we would not be appointing them.
Which,
But at the same time, we're not required to have.
Am I required to have one?
9.
Yes, we are.
Yeah, we are.
We're not, but then there are 2.
Oh, it's in,
Anybody next.
it's in the bylaws, and I believe it's in the town ordinance, but I'll have to look at the ordinance.
What about Monday, the 21st, which is the week of Thanksgiving, but it gives us another whole week. If we have to do a second round of interviews or.
There's a snowstorm.
Hey.
Just kidding.
I like your optimism, but
Yeah.
She's right.
Anniversary is.
Yeah.
Okay, so would the 21st work for anyone?
Okay. Do it earlier. 6 o'clock.
Right after school.
Oh, no, we have orders. We work.
Whatever, 7 o'clock.
Mark, what's,
I could do 6.
you could do 6?
Yeah.
Okay. Did everyone else do 6?
Yes.
Yeah.
6 o'clock, man, is that all right? Okay.
So we will ask, we'll try to have the notices out. Let's see,
I'm just thinking, though, is that enough? I mean, that's what, 4, 3, 2.
3 weeks?
No, I'm just saying, if we're not gonna do it the 16th, then 17th, 18th, they're only 2 like working days. And then we're going to 21st, right? Like, is that extra 2 days worth postponing it? That's just my,
But we don't get stuck in on the weekends, so.
Right.
And I kind of like the idea of separating it from the regular board meeting.
yeah, and that's fine. I just wanted to make one.
Exactly.
Yeah, so are we back to 11:21?
21st at 6 p.m.
6.
Right, Rose?
These are public meetings.
Yeah.
In the past, we did executive session, for our deliberations and for the interview unless somebody asked. And we had a format where we asked them the same, everybody the same.
But we've had different follow-up questions.
Yeah.
So if we do that, should we give ourselves like 15 or 20 minutes ahead of time to come up with our questions and organize, and then see our first candidate at 6:20? I'm not thinking there'll be 100 candidates. Might be 3 or 4.
Or we could have an executive session on the 16th and come up with questions and then go right into 6.
We can do that. That's a good idea.
And we're ready to go.
Well, I'll tell you, someday I'm gonna tell you guys a story offline. How I got on the board the first time. It wasn't anything like this, trust me.
I asked Morris if he was on at the same time as you.
No, I don't think it was.
No, okay.
When Charlie was first elected, I got a phone call and hey, we need somebody for the board of ed. You interested? I says, well, Helen was in school then, so I said, okay, I'll do it. That was it. There was no vote, no interviews. It was a done deal. I just showed up at the next meeting. And then I got elected after that. I was filling the vacancy. Yeah. Just like this.
Okay,
A lot has
Well,
changed
let's
in
make that
40
phone
years.
call the night
It's a
before,
lot
and let's
easier.
do it.
didn't we just say we don't want board of selectmen choosing our next person?
No,
We
I
wanna
said
choose.
let's.
Oh, I see. Okay, so my understanding is now that we will advertise the opening. And we'll make sure we say we need a non-Democrat. And then November 16th, our next regular meeting, we'll discuss questions. And on the 21st, we'll meet and do our interviews and make a decision. This is the plan. If we can't make a decision, we have the next week to try again.
So 11:16, are we at 7 o'clock?
Yes, that's the regular board meeting. Because of Thanksgiving, we don't ever meet the day before Thanksgiving. Okay, thank you. I feel good about that process. Now, we'll move on to next agenda plan. Anyone have anything that really want to see on the next agenda?
The job descriptions. And Rose, will we need to set the meeting dates for January?
Ooh, yes, thank you, so you can get them on time.
We set the meeting dates for next year.
Now, just for any committee who might not know this, and I'm gonna pick on F&O because I know that one best. We tend to meet the Thursday before the next, so we can look up those dates and submit them, and they won't be special meetings anymore.
Okay.
You'd like that?
Probably more logical to just go. And now it sets it a little bit more big, and if you can't have that meeting, you just take it off the agenda.
Right.
You just take it off the calendar.
Yeah, so it less rushing around for the chair, I found.
Yep.
Yeah, okay. Any other agenda items?
Just a executive session to discuss questions for the interview.
Yeah, thank you. I'd written it, so I skipped over it, but that didn't mean you all knew what was there.
So what's that follow-up for an executive session? I know we can do employment of a public position.
Thank you. That's it. What?
Employment or something. Yes. Okay, thanks.
But we're not going to be appointing anyone.
No, we'll discussion. It's the process. You know, how it works.
The people expect us to appoint it.
Wait, what's this executive session for?
Just develop the questions that we would like to utilize.
Oh,
at the
that's for the
appointment of-
21st meeting.
Right. No, the 16th meeting will put together the questions, so at the 21st meeting, we can just come and get right into it. We don't have to develop.
Oh, I thought
This is for the agenda.
I thought you were saying the first 20 minutes we were gonna get them the questions. And
Yeah,
then-
but I get overruled.
Oh. I missed that.
You got suggested.
I have better suggestion overruled.
And
Well, if they can't do it,
make
they
sense
can't
of
do
it.
it.
Yeah.
No 20 minutes, 10 minutes.
I meant 20 minutes. Or something different. Okay. Let's think about what we're gonna call it.
The development questions for interviewing potential
It's
board
not
members.
on the list of executive sessions.
Oh,
Yeah. I have to look at the list and see where it fits. Okay, so we have. I'm moving on to audience for citizens and staff. Do either of you have? No? Okay,
Rose, maybe double check chat.
yes. Is anyone on Zoom who would like to?
Yes, I would like to.
All right, Alan, go right ahead.
First off, for whatever reason, the audio in tonight's meeting was horrible. About the only person I could distinctly hear consistently was Matthew. The rest, especially the people remotely or in the audience or down the desk, I could barely hear. Second, on the superintendent's report, I saw a picture of a resurfaced and refurbished playscape with sand and mulch. You can thank the Department of Public Works for those improvements. You're welcome. And thirdly, on the principal's report, I saw there was an increase in 3 students outsourced. My question is, in fact, were those 3 students transitioned within the present student body? Or are those 3 new students that moved into town?
I don't understand. Are you asking if the 3 students who are outplaced,
Well, there used to be 6 and now there's 9.
so there's 3 more, so you're asking if those 3 more were in our student body or if they moved into town and went to another school?
Correct.
Okay, got it. So did you 2 hear the explanation? Because you were kind of talking during it.
No, we heard it.
Okay, then what's the answer? We'll have to get back to you with that, Alan.
Yes.
I look forward to it. Dr. Sarli said there'd be an update in the November enumeration anyway, so I'd expect a clarification. Thank you.
Okay, any further comments from the audience?
Yes. I have a couple of questions here that one wanted to me to read to you guys. How many kids are on the bus? What is the average? And what is the rate of absenteeism of the staff, teachers, and parents?
Sorry, but
Do you want me to slow that down a little bit? Say it again, please. He wants to know how many kids are on the bus. Now, Wednesday, I was here, so I took a look to see how many kids were getting on the bus on Wednesday, last Wednesday. There were 8 on the first bus and there were 8 on the second bus. And was that this morning I was out here? I think it was this morning. There were 20 kids on the second bus and there were 12 on the first bus getting off the bus. So I'm just telling you what I saw.
Oh, would you like to go down on one bus?
What's
This
that?
is ridiculous. We've already answered the question. I don't want to waste Dr. Farley's time re-answering the same question 2 times. I
I'm just
apologize, I
reading
spoke out of
what
line.
he wrote.
And Mark is just responding to it.
Yeah. I'm just saying.
What's their after school? I mean, less kids are going home, that means they're either going to a dentist appointment or they're staying for after school clubs or their parents are picking them up, but we're getting those kids in the morning. Okay, what was the other thing I didn't
The
hear?
absenteeism of the staff, teachers, and the parents.
Parents?
Yes.
So what's the difference between paras and staff? Paras are part of the staff.
And delivering the questions.
Well, maybe don't deliver questions for other people if you can't.
Saps wants to know how many teachers are absent on a given day.
See, that's gonna be a
Teachers.
difficult thing. That's gonna be a very difficult thing to answer because there are many reasons for teachers to not be in their classrooms, yet they are at work. So we can't call them absent, but there could be a sub for them. For example, I know pre-K screening. The teachers come in and do the screening, they have a sub. There are times when there are meetings. And there's all sorts of reasons why a teacher is in school and there's a sub, and people have trouble understanding that. So I think that would be a very deceptive statistic.
I'm good.
We're way over 2 minutes for this.
Okay,
Doing good, it's no need for it, we're doing good.
Can I make a statement? It's at risk of discussing. I think that as a board, we are supposed to empower our administrators to take care of these kinds of things. If there's an issue, the administrator brings it to the board. And I think we're risking micromanaging our administration.
yeah, and, you know, Dr. Sarli's here 2 days a week. And I know of a lot of things she doesn't get done. Because she can't. And I'm not sure that of all the things that Dr. Sarli needs to do, I would put this high on the list.
100% agree.
Want to get another 2 days? We could jump right on.
Yeah, show me the money.
We're not going down to one, we're not going down to one school bus. You know it's not. We've been there.
Okay, any other statements from people? Hearing none, I would like to jump right on into adjourn. Motion,
I'll second.
all those in favor?
Yep.
Aye. Aye, Russ, are you in favor?
Yes,
All right,
and thank you, Russ.
Yes, thank you, Russ.
Yeah.
Welcome, guys.
we're adjourning as of 8:21.
I heard you say something about sunny
I think-
side.
I
Only
think the
2
whole
days.
Russ, can you hear me?
problem with the
Russ,
country
can you
is
hear
back
me?
in that state, those Democrats over there would have voted against what the town said. How dare he assume what I'm gonna vote? I don't know, I'm on.
Are you a
I'm on
non-Democrat?
vacation. I'll see
See ya.
y'all.
Yes, Sally, thank you.